Hello, and welcome to the Dash Force Free Amigos podcast, episode 35. And it's Dash's birthday yesterday, but we're celebrating anyway. And today's
Estas
episode,
son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David. There we go. I got the reaction I was
today's
looking for.
episode is quite special because we don't actually have a guest this time. It's just the original Free Amigos. So, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Joel is here, singing, happy.
Yes. Happy birthday, Dash. Cheers.
Excellent. He's got his beer. I've got my pint of water. Everyone's happy. Wow.
Got my Dash bracelet.
And a Dash bracelet. Oh, I've not seen that before.
Yep. Shout out to the Free State Bitcoin shop, which should be called the Free State Dash shop because they stopped taking Bitcoin and they actively promote Dash as something to spend around here. So
excellent. Yeah, that's a great starting point, actually. So for those unaware, Joel did an article at the start of the week. So Joel lives in New Hampshire, and there's the Free State Bitcoin shop there, just sells random bits of merchandise. And originally it accepted Bitcoin payments, but as of late, unfortunately, they've been unable to accept them. So Joel, do you want to elaborate a bit more on that? What happened there? And since you've done the article, have they been in contact with you to say, were they happy with it, or has it just been completely dead?
Yeah, the owner did actually leave some comments, and basically he confirmed it and remained a little bit, but yeah, that's true, but we'll be happily take Bitcoin payments when Lightning Network is up and functional and this kind of stuff. Like, definitely wanted to keep a pro Bitcoin slant to the whole thing, but you can't fight with the facts, right? The facts are the facts, which is Bitcoin does not work as a payment system and hasn't worked very well for some time. And I mean, that's a pretty objective statement right there. And Lightning Network, other stuff, I don't know. It's one of those things like I'm very excited for Dash Evolution. However, it doesn't exist. So there's only so much I'm going to talk about it because it's very real and very under production. But as far as what Dash users have today at their disposal, it's fantasy. It doesn't exist. So same thing with Lightning Network and Bitcoin and things like that. It's like, oh, well, this new thing's going to change everything. It's like, well, maybe, but what's going on today?
So what options are actually in there? Was it actually you that took the photo of the Dash standee banner in there? Or okay, so
yes,
if someone goes in there now, what payments do they accept? Is it just Dash or
Bitcoin?
I haven't explored the full extent of their point of sale system, but it used to be Bitcoin and Dash, and now I know they have Bitcoin Cash. I don't know if they've removed, because the shop also, the owner is also the guy who created the AnyPay point of sale system, which did support Bitcoin and Dash. Now, it supports Bitcoin Cash as well. I don't know if they removed Bitcoin as a payment option from the point of sale, or if they simply at the shop just say we don't take Bitcoin. But either way, it's at least Bitcoin Cash and Dash. And I asked the employee there, I said, because the owners are often vacation right now, or holiday, as you folks over on that side of the world call it. He said, I asked, like, what do people pay with? And they said, well, it's like 90-95% Dash. It's like almost all Dash. Wow. And there's like just a couple people who give Bitcoin Cash. And for me, that's like 100% success rate, because I was a big fan of Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash works about like the Bitcoin experience I remember before things got bad. And I mean, I think Dash is just vastly superior in my view. But I'll take second best at a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. That's maybe not as cool as Dash, but I'll still take that, even though I'd be a little bit like, I wish I had something better.
The moral of the story here, Brian, is if you're going to set up a business, don't use Bitcoin in the name, or I mean, it's kind of remember like Bitcart as well. Obviously, they accepted Bitcoin first, but now they're Dash exclusive, right? So it just seems to be a sign of the times. People are dropping Bitcoin for Dash, or In fact, they've got no alternative but to search for other options, right?
Yeah, and speaking of the Lightning Network and evolution, I was responding to a Twitter comment. I was posting the roadmap, and and our roadmap for evolution definitely needs an update. Hopefully, they don't call me out on it, but if they do, it's like, all cryptocurrency projects are always behind schedule. But we do need to update that roadmap. And one other thing on the Bitcoin shoppy, I guess it should be called the cryptocurrency shoppy. I posted this in the comment section of the article. Joel probably knows what I'm talking about. Can you double spend Bitcoin Cash with the same tool that you were able to double spend the Bitcoin with?
Now, I don't have a yes or no answer to that. So for the crypto ignorant or whatever, or the people might not be as educated, I assume we have a very educated audience, but I do know there's some noobs or just people that haven't gotten down in the weeds. There's this change that was made to Bitcoin several years ago called replace by fee, which allowed, if you send a transaction out, you could, before it got a confirmation, you could resend it with a higher fee somewhere else. And that was not part of the original Bitcoin. Originally, it was a way to get an unstuck transaction unstuck. And Bitcoin Cash does not have replace by fee. So Bitcoin, it's really easy to double spend. You can just send to a merchant, broadcast, and it says, all right, it's on this way. And then in the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, several days, however long it is, until it gets a confirmation, you can pay a higher fee and send it back to a different wallet. And you don't even need special tools to double spend. Now, I believe Bitcoin Cash may have a double spend vulnerability of some kind, but I think it's much, much harder to pull off. I think you need specialized tools. You need a specialized wallet. So, for example, most modern wallets absolutely do not allow you to double spend. Now, the thing is, except with replace by fee with Bitcoin, that's not technically double spend. It's just, but so what you'd have to do is you'd have to have a wallet that looks just like a mainstream wallet, and you have to have a special double spend functionality, in my view. So, to your question, Brian, yes, I think I would want to explore that possibility. I would definitely want to double spend at the Free State Bitcoin shop with Bitcoin Cash. I definitely want to try it. I want to see if it works.
Yeah. It did. It worked before with their, I think they were at a gambling site or something. They were able to double spend. They would bet, lose, and then they would just keep doing it. But yeah, I don't know if it's on Bitcoin Cash. You probably can't do it with your mobile phone. You probably need like a laptop or something. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's much easier to anonymously double spend stuff online than to just show up at a shop and you're like, hey, same coffee again today? Oh, weren't you here yesterday? It didn't go through. I can show you on the blockchain. Can you, it's not going to work that way. Realistically, double spending for your coffee in the morning is not a very good use of nefarious means.
It's just to prove a point. I wonder how they used to have there in Keene or wherever they had the vending machines with Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I mean, with $15 fee, you're trying to get a Snickers bar. I don't see how that could even work anymore. Is those vending machines?
Yeah, I don't think I ever remember seeing one of those. I guess they got take it down. I think what they call, well, here's the confusion. Ian Freeman, the host of Free Talk Live, calls Bitcoin ATMs Bitcoin vending machines.
Yeah.
So that might have caused a little bit of confusion. I think there have been some vending machines that took Bitcoin back in the day that I bought stuff from, but it was more like I paid Bitcoin and then they released it. It was a manual thing. It wasn't an automatic thing. It wasn't like Dash's whole Dash and Drink machine showcasing instant send. But so it's an important thing when we're talking about Bitcoin Cash versus Dash, because both are peer-to-peer electronic payment systems. And I happen to kind of like both, right? I mean, obviously I love Dash, but I think Bitcoin Cash seems okay too. The thing that baffles me is why people would promote such a currency so much when they could promote something that I think is quite objectively better. Now, let me just sort of go down the list, because I wrote this article a little bit too recently about the major improvement, major innovations that Dash has been responsible for over the last few years. And this is something like, oh, Dash has no development, Litecoin clone, oh yeah, whatever all the trolls say. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's been happening. So first off, as far as I'm aware, Dash pioneered the masternode concept of an incentivized node that does special extra functionality. And now we're talking about like Lightning Network and all that kind of morass of problems that it might pose. And you'd have to have special Lightning nodes to do this whole thing. And so in my view, Lightning nodes are kind of a vastly inferior form of master nodes. Like Dash already figured out that in order to properly scale a network, you need kind of extra layers. So the masternode concept, I mean, what is it? Masternodes.online currently lists 79 masternode coins in existence. That was up from 72 like last week.
Wow.
But there's a bunch of coins that have master nodes that don't call them that, like Zencash secure nodes, not quite a master node, but whatever. And then Stratus Tumblebit nodes or whatever they're called. There's a bunch that use the exact very similar model, but they don't call them master nodes. So it's got to be hundreds of coins. And then, of course, private send. Everyone remembers from back in the day when first people started thinking, hey, maybe this Bitcoin thing isn't as private as I thought. They're like, well, let's use coin mixers, tumblers and stuff. Let's use a trust a service to mix all our inputs and send them out so we anonymize funds. Then Dash, I mean, long story short, this is way back in the weeds. And I'm sure people who were around in the dark coin days know more than I would. But Dash pioneered a way of making coin mixing like trustless peer-to-peer, not have to do anything else, and very, very much more efficient. Of course, there's still a long way to go, but if you go use any privacy coin, there's a whole lot of gaps in the user experience. And Dash seems to be doubling down on improving this mixing strategy, which some people have been like, well, why not do all this encryption stuff? And Evan said a few times that first off, he likes the true fungibility that provides rather than just hiding an unfungible coin supply. And he also talked about blockchain bloat from doing too much encryption, especially always-on encryption. And also he talked about quantum resistance, whereas quantum computing might be able to break encryption and retroactively de-anonymize everything because Dash is an off-chain privacy solution. It's kind of resistant to that. So 2 items down the list. Next, instant send. We were just talking about instant send. Everyone's talking about instant transactions. How fast do they have to be? Off-chain, like how do we do an off-chain, like a cheap transaction's confirmed instantly, goes through right away. And they talk about, well, Lightning Network especially, you put that on the Lightning node that, oh, you already spent it goes through instantly. But Dash's instant send actually makes transactions get confirmed right away. Of course, they still have to go through the usual mining process and get onto blocks and stuff, but by locking inputs with a quorum of master nodes, it's as good as confirmed in 1.3 seconds. And you have a bunch of these infographics. You go around Twitter, a bunch of these infographics saying, oh, Ripple's got like a few seconds. Oh, this one has the fastest. Everyone's trying to compare with saying they're faster than Dash, but they always say Dash is something like 2.5 minutes or like 10 minutes or something ridiculous. None of them say 1.3 seconds because, I remember early Pivx infographics were saying it's like faster than Dash. It's like, how much faster can you get than 1.3 seconds? And if it's 1.2 seconds, does that make a difference? 1.1? How about like a half second? Who cares? 1.3 is about as fast as you'll ever need because of humans are currently in this time space continuum that 1.3 seconds is plenty fast enough. And we will note that, of course, Pivx and Smart Cash, and I'm sure a few others, do implement this technology as well. Now you go down the treasury system. Now, in my view, one of the surest indicators of success is when you get props, whether it's advertently or inadvertently, from your detractors, from people who might not like you. And I remember a recent, like a month or so ago, podcast appearance on Bitcoin Uncensored by Ricardo Spagni or Fluffy Pony at Monero, was sort of talking wistfully about treasury systems and a DAO and governance kind of stuff. And basically, and to their credit, Monero's done a very good job of crowdfunding development updates and things like that. It seems to be gotten fairly efficient at it. But it's still always going to be a lag when you have to deal with outside mechanisms for funding. And Dash is, like, as far as I know, the pioneer of the treasury system as well. And I mean, that's been imitated by just about everything under the sun. Now we go, of course, the big one being the DAO, right? The Decentralized Autonomous Organization. I still get really mad when I go back and look at old articles about the Ethereum DAO, calling it the DAO and the world's first. Just like, let's pretend Dash isn't a thing. Yeah, Dash being the first decentralized autonomous organization. And that's major. That's a earth-changing concept, in my view, where you can have a system that just runs itself. It can actually make decisions about direction and things like that. And anyone can participate, and you don't need the approval of a certain set of people in order to participate. Anyone can run a miner. This is the thing that I point out, right? Say every Dash holder right now just gets targeted, rounded up into camps, and killed off. Just everyone's dead. There's no more Dash core team. There's no more masternode holders. Everyone's just dead. Dash is a dead network. Someone can go and start running a little mining program, start acquiring Dash, and then get some friends to start doing it. And then they all get Dash. Be pretty soon, because of the ridiculously low difficulty algorithm, everyone starts getting masternodes. They just form it out of nothing. Just the Dash DAO keeps soldiering on with everyone involved killed off. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, wow.
Yeah, I think they talked about. Yeah. I think they talked about the DAO has been talked about before, but I think Dash was the first to actually implement it. I think maybe BitShares could have talked about it, Ethereum could have talked about it in concept, but we actually did it and implemented it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's still there. I mean, Ethereum implemented something and now it's gone. Where's the DAO? It's gone. Like, Dash is still there. Yeah, how many years was it? 3 years after the DAO? I mean, 3 years after DAO's founding, it's still kicking. And then last 3 a little bit more in the weeds, but the X11 mining algorithm, which uses 11 different hashing algorithms, and it's stood the test of time. It works really well, and there's at least 114 cryptocurrencies that use X11 right now. Which, I mean, I'm sure most of those are minor shit coins or whatever, but it's still, like, been rapidly copied. It's pretty ASIC resistant. I don't know how long Dash took to start using ASICs, but it was a long time until you started to get some major ASICs. And then the last 2. So we got dark gravity wave difficulty adjustment. And this is basically allows the mining difficulty to adjust every block. So if, like, a bunch of miners fall off the network or a bunch more come on, then the blocks just keep on coming out at about 2.5 minutes, just regularly, no interruptions. Whereas we've seen with Bitcoin Cash, when there was that big fork, we had Bitcoin blocks, and first Bitcoin Cash blocks came out like once a day or a couple a day in the very beginning. It was just horrible. And then when all the hash power switched, a lot of it switched to Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin started to have, like, very infrequent blocks, and just the whole network was disrupted. And you can't have a consumer-facing network with those kinds of problems. And Dash has been using dark gravity wave for what, 4 years or close to 4 years? I don't remember how early it was implemented.
Almost since the beginning.
Yeah, it's been forever. No one else is using this. Like, this is such a major innovation, and I'm sure plenty of other coins are using it.
Yeah, they have their own knockoff versions, but yeah. Well, and ours came from dark gravity, or the Komodo's gravity well, and then they had a problem, and Evan fixed it, and yeah, that's where it originally came from.
Yeah, one of the reasons why it was so instrumental was because it was only CPU mining based. I remember mining it on my laptop, and I think Evan did that on purpose because he wanted everyone to have the opportunity to be able to mine Dash. That's why he wanted it to be CPU. And obviously, excellent, he was future-proofing it. So he could see the way mining was going. And by taking that route, he was prolonging it to make it as safe as possible so people couldn't manipulate and game the system, which we saw mining break down. So that foresight, once again, that Evan had was absolutely amazing, and it stood the test of time. So even SegWit ×2 was meant to be implementing X11. I don't know where that currently stands, but it just shows you.
That was the crappy branded knockoff. That was not the original SegWit 2x attempt, but whatever. Now the last thing that is on this list, as far as I know, no one cared to try to imitate yet, and also as far as I know, no one outside of Dash has really spoken kindly about. Even has been the Spork technology, or a multi-phased fork. Now, anyone who's ever been using a network during a hard fork, when you have to, in order to upgrade the network, right? The miners have to run a new version of the software, and then there's like there's definitely a bumpy ride transition period when you're trying to get all the new machines on the network. Oh, there's still some miners that are up. Oh, some nodes haven't upgraded their latest version. Oh, they haven't installed the update, and then there's always some disruption. And what Sporks allow is for certain features to be turned off during that time. And so when the whole upgrade is stable on the mainnet, on the testnet, on the mainnet, when everything is stable, then you're convinced it's stable, you can start turning things off so you don't break entire things, or you don't cause people to lose funds, or all the kind of stuff that we're seeing with Blockstream's Lightning Network, that they're saying, hey, buy stuff from our store, but oh, you might lose all your money. Sorry. Like all that kind of stuff you can kind of mitigate by having this safety valve, right? Called the Spork. Now, a lot of people don't like Sporks because they're like, oh my gosh, one developer is going to turn it on or off. And well, first off, there's nothing really that crucial on the list there. And it's funny because Ryan, like the network runs, like I remember some Monero person, I hesitate to call him a troll because he's been very polite, even in his attraction, said something about, well, all Sporks, and you can just turn instant sent off. I'm like, well, you mean like Monero always has instant sent off? It's never on because they don't have it. Like like the worst case, you just get back to the level of other currencies. And Brian got asked about Sporks at a Box Mining interview, and he gave a very good answer, I think. He just said that, first off, if a developer were to abuse the Spork, it would destroy confidence in the development team. And, that's one of the biggest things you have, especially if you can be downvoted, if you can lose all your funding, right? Dash Core has a staffing proposal right now before the Dash network. They're asking for money this month, right? That would not go through if people hated them for abusing Sporks. But beyond that, he just said all that's required is for miners to just run let's change a couple lines of code and just run that instead. And then the Spork's on by default. Instance on by default. You can't turn it off with the Spork. Like, it's so easy to just remove the critical centralization vulnerability. And no one really sees the value in this because crypto's so experimental that people don't see when you do major upgrades. If there's thousands or millions of people using your system, you want it to be smooth as butter. You don't want there to be issues. You don't want a bumpy ride. And so going through this whole long list, just really quick, because then I have to shut up for a while. You got comparing to Bitcoin Cash, right? Bitcoin Cash does not have master nodes, right? So they'll have to find other ways of incentivizing nodes to scale to massive levels, like corporations and stuff, like public, very visible corporations that could be more easily targeted or censored or have issues, right? Have loyalty issues to the network. There's no privacy functions on Dash. On Bitcoin Cash right now. There's no instant transactions, no instant confirmations. They don't have a self-funding mechanism. They have to crowdfund. They're definitely not a decentralized autonomous organization. They don't have excellent mining algorithm. I don't know how much that matters, but they definitely don't have the dark gravity wave difficulty adjustment because they went through a lot of problems for having such a long difficulty adjustment period. And they certainly don't have Sporks. And so what do they have that Dash doesn't have? Not much.
The Bitcoin network effect, just because they forked it and they've got all the people. I got it in already with businesses. Yeah,
that's powerful. I mean, they probably have somewhere around an equal distribution of coins as Dash, because Dash was always very close behind Bitcoin, and despite being much younger. And Bitcoin Cash obviously copies Bitcoin's distribution, but then a lot of people dumped their coins and a lot of people bought their coins, so it's probably a little bit less well distributed than Bitcoin right now.
You still have Satoshi.
That might be a guess.
Yeah, you still have Satoshi who has 1 million coins or 1 million plus coins that we know of. He probably has more than that. So that carried over to Bitcoin Cash. And one of the FUDs that they put out about the Spork technology was that there was something about how they can reorganize all the blocks and change transactions for the last 24 hours. That's just not
lies.
Yeah, that's not true at all. They just don't understand what's going on. Only thing they can do is turn off the features and make us like Bitcoin. And why would the developers want to do that maliciously to turn off all of our features? It makes no sense. It is somewhat centralized in that, but like I said, it would just go back to Bitcoin. We would lose instant SYN, private SYN, and some of the other features. However, like Ryan said, you can easily, somebody else can take over and they're not going to do it. And eventually it will be run by the master nodes. That's how Evan said the master nodes will be in control of the Spork key somehow. But that's later on.
Now, as far as that is concerned, obviously Dash's roadmap might need a little bit of updating at this point. Definitely. We'll see. But there is something on it that says that multi-signature Spork is slated for the version 1 evolution release. So this year. So hopefully this year there'll be like a multi-sig thing, so that, I mean, if the roadmap is still accurate in that sense, where you'll have a few developers will have to all sign the key to do a Spork to prevent mistakes or something like that. And of course, down the line, you could always further decentralize that by having like a masternode quorum veto or something like that. But even in the meantime, there's nothing that's like really great risk. I mean, think about it. How many, just last rule of thumb, and I'll just shut up. How many of these decentralized coins, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, whatever, have centrally controlled GitHub repositories? How many of them are right now? The development is entirely controlled by a small group of people. And if you have a problem with that, you kind of have to copy the code and start a new repository. Like there's going to be a bump. It's not like Spork's somehow different from the rest of the thing.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see on the roadmap, it's something that Macrochip has brought up a couple of times, has to do with privacy, and that is stealth addresses. I see no reason why we could not implement stealth addresses. I don't know how. I mean, it's not like going the total encryption route like a Monero or other coins go, but that would just give us that extra, anonymity feature, and it seems very doable. But I'd like to get some feedback on that and get it added to the roadmap.
Yeah, I think that's interesting to see. I guess we'll have to see how cryptographic privacy evolves, right? Because there's just so many ways of doing it. A lot of people try to categorize it as a very black and white type thing about, you just create this new thing that just works. It doesn't just work. It does things which have effects. Everything has trade-offs, right? So, for example, one issue with encrypted privacy coins is getting them to work with mobile wallets or light wallets, because they have to communicate with the node, and in the communication with the node, you can't have that completely encrypted, or you can't communicate, right? There has to be some way of deducing the information communicating with the node. And so that provides so many problems. That's why there's no mobile wallets that use privacy coins right now, really.
I don't know.
There
is. Monero's got a few mobile wallet. I didn't know that until just the other day.
There's something, I think it's Monerujo, I believe is the name. I don't know exactly. I have to do more research before I talk too much smack about that. But it appears to use either a remote node, as in you still have to run your own full node,
right,
and then have to communicate with that. So even though you kind of trust yourself to out your own transactions, or there's a few Monero nodes that you trust. Again, you have to trust Fluffy Pony then. So
but they were having issues connecting. Yeah, they were having issues connecting, and they were like, well, you should run your own node. So you have to set up your own node on your home computer, basically, and then point your device towards that node to,
so now that's the thing is Koinomi is apparently finally releasing testing screenshots of Monero integration, just like Dax did like a year or so ago. And that means they're probably close. How will that work as far as privacy is concerned? I remember the Edge's CEO Paul Pui told me that he didn't. I mean, again, I don't want to put words in his mouth or misquote him here, but he said something to the effect of encryption is encrypted privacy coins are a nightmare for mobile wallets. It's basically almost like a dead end. And so if those things get solved, that's going to be some kind of a real breakthrough in cryptocurrency if they manage to solve that problem, or just privacy on mobile wallets at all. But then you start to think about like everyone, like the whole always on privacy feature. It is what it is, right? One drawback is, other than, well, wow, wouldn't you sometimes want a little bit more accessible public ledger? But one drawback is that the extra data required for privacy transactions considerably bloats the blockchain. So you think about, Bitcoin's blockchain. Imagine if all those were always on kind of transactions, even like very public mining rewards, exchanges, nonprofits, any of that. If that was all 50 times the transaction size, that would massively bloat the blockchain. So everything has a trade-off. It's important to remember. And so when I think about stealth addresses and things like that, I don't really know too much about how they work. I'm sure that it's never going to be quite as simple as, yep, it's good, use it. It's probably going to have a trick to it that there might be a trade-off involved. But then again, what do I know?
Yeah, I think it's fairly straightforward, although I don't know either. Macrochip talks about it. He knows a lot about it. But yeah, I'd like to hear Mark's thoughts on the North American Dash conference that's going on.
Wow. Yeah, I was waiting. I was looking at the comments in the chat. I can't believe we've gone 3 quarters and we haven't even mentioned like the biggest event. So people in the live chat, they've been talking about some of the announcements and the partnerships yesterday. I'm sure all 3 of us here and everyone in the live chat was watching the crypto news live stream. I thought Ryan did a really good job. I think we should probably dedicate a little bit of time talking about some of those partnerships that were announced yesterday. I'd also like some of your guys' insight, because some of the announcements are quite American based, and some of the clients and merchants that were mentioned in some of the slides I'm not too familiar with. So one of them.
First, let me preface the whole thing by cryptohwwallet.com is a seller of hardware wallets and stuff. I met the guy in Austin at the Texas Bitcoin conference. Good guy. He tweeted out a series of pictures about everything, and he says Dash is really everywhere, stealing all the crypto shine at the North American Bitcoin conference event. It's an amazing marketing campaign that's making its name really loud and sound. Thumbs up. Again, not a Dash show. He's not at all, and that's what he says about the conference. So good job, guys.
Yeah. So back to the announcement. So there was like 3 real big ones from the press release we got as well. So there's an article there with a bit more information if you haven't checked that out yet. dashforcenews.com. But yeah, with regards to some of the merchants I wanted to talk about in the live chat, people saying they seem to be leaning more towards GoCoin, and some of the big name brands that were mentioned in the slide, 500 merchants, but the key main name brands that were in the slide was cheapair.com, Remax, which I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what Remax was. Now, I mean, I've been told that apparently they're one of the largest Canadian, I think they're in America as well, to do with house purchase, right? Movietickets.com, that must be US based, because I'm not familiar with that. No, I know Lionsgate movies because they do like the Hunger Games, all the big movies like that. So do you guys just want to talk to me about Remax and movie tickets? How big a deal is that?
Remax is huge in America. I mean, they're one of the major real estate companies around. Yeah, they're like very huge. And I guess you can pay your rent and everything with it now. I saw somebody saying somehow.
I was digging through the site. It's, as far as rentals, I don't see. I found some in my very own town here that are listed on Remax. Now, here's the big caveat with all these integrations. GoCoin is the payment processor that these companies use, right? And therefore, theoretically, you can pay with Dash for all of that. Now, there are a couple of caveats, like, for example, with Remax, you might be able to pay the realty fees, right? The realtor fees with Dash. You might not necessarily be able to pay like rent or house, whatever kind of things in every single case, because some of them might you might have to pay the individual owner or whatever, the individual landlord separately. However, according to GoCoin's CEO that I quoted in the article, they did say something about you can buy houses and you can now buy houses with Dash. So I assume that means it's a pretty wide integration. When I checked out movietickets.com, supposedly the crypto option was only available in select theaters, and I haven't been able to find out which ones yet. So there are some qualifications. It isn't just like woo everywhere, but it is.
Well, one of the big statements
second to that
on the slide was the third bullet point was rolling out Dash by default to all merchants. Now, I'm guessing this announcement is fairly recent, as we know from Cheap Air and the recent exchange over Twitter, right? Saying I think the real hero in this is really BlockCypher, because they're the Dash strategic partnership that works on these integrations and really helps them connect to the Dash blockchain that get these things happening. So those big announcements yesterday, they're kind of the silent hero in this. But yeah, well, cheapair.com, I mean, we was only talking about that, I think, in last week's Free Amigos podcast. So, I mean, that in itself is huge. And these were just the 5 big name brands that they mentioned. They've got 500, and these aren't little boutique stores. These are big online businesses. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys can use cheapair.com, right? So
yeah, in fact, I used it to fly to Texas for the conference. I believe I used it for one of the European flights last year too. But unfortunately, I had to shapeshift Bitcoin, which is a tragedy. But that's the thing with Cheap Air is I was contacting them via Twitter, just saying, and I got a big group of people retweeting it and everything. And then people were like, then Cheap Air response said they'd love to take Dash, but don't know how. And then back and forth, there was emails exchanged with Alt36 to hopefully set up their payment processor for Cheap Air. And so I thought, oh yeah, Cheap Air is going to take Dash through Alt36 is what I thought. And then now Alt36's cryptocurrency payment processor, GoCoin, now takes Dash. So it remains to be seen how that's going to work out. If they're going to switch to Alt36, if they're going to just keep using GoCoin and take Dash. But either way, Dash is coming to Cheap Air, and I'm very thrilled. So back to this slide, right? So GoCoin's definitely the biggest one because it integrates into all kinds of online shopping carts and everything. Like basically anyone with an e-commerce business pretty much will be able to take Dash very easily. And so at that point, you just have to start pestering people. Hey, why don't you take Dash? Oh, I don't know, headache, ball ache, whatever. Oh, well, you just do this. Okay. That's going to be really, really big, right? And just with movie tickets, plane tickets, buying houses, rent, like that's some big items that now you will be able to spend Dash for. Now, Strike Social, the leading ad tech firm. It's the world's largest YouTube ad optimization firm. It says Fortune 500 17th fastest growing companies, and 500 ad agencies with major brands like Coca-Cola and Netflix and things like that. So this was a major advertising firm, right? Social. They do a lot of social media advertising, and now that means that, for example, Coca-Cola and Netflix will be able to pay for a good chunk of their social media advertising with Dash. So that's pretty big. And there's an interesting quote here I have to pull up. Where is it?
I've got it in front of me.
About the global digital ad spend.
Yeah. Have you got it in front of you? Or?
So
I've got it right in front of me if you haven't.
Yes. Why don't you just deliver it with gravitas?
The global digital ad spend is expected to hit 269 billion next year, reaching a total of 335 billion by 2020. The quote is by McKenna, the CEO, "We'll take the whole thing in Dash if we have to." So that it's huge within itself. But I've got to be honest, and I think like most people watching, they probably weren't familiar with what Strike Social was. I actually had to go check out their website. And if you're still unsure, This is how Strike Social described themselves. Strike Social harnessed the power of artificial intelligence to drive the best outcomes in YouTube and social media advertising through media buying, software, and service. Now, here's the interesting part. Strike Social manages 15,000 plus campaigns each day for the world's leading agencies and brands, including Beats, Dr. Dre, Xbox, Honda, Mattel, and KFC, with global operations. So they obviously deal with heavy hitters, and they're very happy about Dash in terms of the solution, because McKenna was also quoted as saying, adding Dash as a payment gets us the rest of the world, and with their negligible transaction fees, it's a home run for us and our customers. So it's actually providing not just utility but a service. It's actually adding value to the actual company. So it's a partnership on both sides. We're helping out each other, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly how it works. I mean, we have a lot of marketing proposals with the Google AdWords and stuff like that. Can they take Dash now, or does it take the place of Google?
I'd have to look into what Strike Social does. I believe they do a little bit more advanced and targeted sort of marketing things. It's not just run an ad. It's like social media boosting and things like that. And of course, everyone has to check exactly how that'll work. But yes, absolutely, we could pay a lot of contractors directly in Dash with that. Now, that's pretty good and pretty major. Now, next up, Pico mobile phone top-up service. I haven't heard of those because I'm from the USSA, where basically anyone on mobile devices has to have some sort of a contract. There's very few prepaid devices. The top-up thing, it's not really big over here, but from a lot of parts of the world, especially Europe and Africa, you got a lot of top-up. A lot of people have their mobile phones and their data plans or whatever, and then they go and pay top-up to go top it up and keep using it. It's like a pay-as-you-go type thing. Now, I checked out the Pico service. Now, they used to take Bitcoin, but since there's a big notice on that site that says Bitcoin payments are suspended until further notice. So, yeah, that's gone. Now you'll be able to use Dash, and that means that. And I checked, like the provider I use is Verizon, which a lot of people in the U.S. do that, and so right now I have something worked out, but basically I don't directly pay Dash for that, but I would be able to. Right, I could just buy some kind of Verizon-enabled phone on Amazon.com via Bitcart. Shout out to Bitcart, and then you could use Pico to just top it up all the time, and I would just be Dash only for my phone. Now, that's the thing, is when people are trying to live entirely off of Dash, I'm always the guy who says, like, oh yeah, you live all on Dash. It's like I have to like pull some tricks, ask for some favors, that kind of stuff to just be completely unbanked and all on Dash, right? I'm experimenting. I'm kind of like the test run case, just like Bitcoin was a test run case for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Now we're starting to get into the areas where it's not so test run anymore. We're starting to get to a place where people won't have to figure out a little thing. They'll just be able to pay a lot of their bills with Dash to pay their rent, right? If they rent from Remax, they'll be able to pay their rent. It's the biggest expense probably. And then they'll be able to buy stuff off of Amazon through Bitcart, obviously, and do their mobile phone top up. Like pretty soon, it's going to be very easy. It's not going to be only lunatics like me trying to live this way. It's going to be other people. And it's just and it's funny because the use case mentioned is low margin and requires low transaction fees, because a lot of people who do pay as you go things can't afford just like a certain monthly billing thing. They have to kind of pay the least they can for just what they use. Just use only Wi-Fi or whatever. And I
mean, that was one of the cool things. Literally directly after the presentation, I believe it was on Twitter, someone went to the website straight away and they tweeted out saying, I believe they were in Ukraine. So just saying, I've just watched the presentation and I've just topped up my dad's phone's credit, I think in Panama, and he was in Ukraine, and he just did it on the spot, and he was just like, this is amazing, I love Dash. And it's just like, we have to remember, last year's presentation with Ryan Taylor, he came from the payments industry, And we know he's very passionate. And I think he spoke about mobile phone credit in certain countries being used as a currency within itself.
Yeah,
this is so instrumental. Yeah, so like the fact that they're working in 137 countries, we can't really turn up our nose at that. So
yeah,
we have a really important role.
In America, we have Track Phone, which is kind of our top-up thing, but it's not as big. These other countries, the top-up service is huge, so it's a totally different game in other countries. Yeah.
Yeah, and like for when you travel, it's like this is like my normal phone that I use. And then I got this one. It's like a burner phone for going to Europe and stuff, like when I was in Europe. And unfortunately, I was using three, the Austrian provider, while in Austria. And unfortunately, Drei is not supported by Pico, but they do have like T-Mobile or whatever in Austria. But yeah, the good thing about these, you can just swap out SIM cards and get just a different one, which is such a European thing that doesn't happen in the US. You have a bunch of locked phones that only work on one network. Yeah. But anyway, that's like a big thing, especially for people wanting to live sort of off the grid. And to add to that whole thing, the oldest hype news since we've been doing this is, of course, BitCard, right? BitCard allows you to save 15% on Amazon.com gift cards. And BitCard has kind of been one of the first major use cases for Dash. It's also the first major headline of a company that dropped Bitcoin payments and went only Dash. And then over the course of most of 2017, the later half, there was a little bit of service issues related to being a growing company and stuff like that. And some people had a lot of, obviously, disturbances going through that. Last few weeks, since they hired a new support person, it seems like BitCard's been flying through. It seems like people have been having very good experiences with BitCard. And so that kind of brings it back around to not just, oh, if you want to deal with this massive hassle and stuff, you only got Dash. You can, like, now it should be more or less, oh, you want to buy something on Amazon, go on BitCard, and then within 24 hours you get some gift codes that then you spend. So obviously not out of the woods yet, but what I was told was their order limit monthly, right, was $140,000. So they should be able to process up to $140,000 in revenue, right, of orders every single month. Obviously, we'll see how that exactly holds up, and I'd love to ask them for their actual budget figures. But that's $140,000 a month in purely economic activity on the Dash network. Only Dash, only buying stuff, only living off of it, not just this trading around or shuffling funds around or whatever. That would be really cool, and that really speaks something big to, you see all like the transaction volume, and you don't know what it means. It could be just people moving from one wallet back and forth over and over. But once you have that figure, at least you actually know.
One other big thing that's coming up this weekend, Mark can speak to it, is the Ronald McDonald fight.
Well, he's going to make a meal of him, right?
Red King.
There you go. I made a joke out of it. Well, we hope he makes a meal of him. Yeah, I believe the Real Money team, Green Candle and co, on a plane. I literally got a message from them taking selfies on the plane just before we went live. So they're in full spirits at the moment. It's been a crazy week for Dash. So yes, we should talk about the fight, but I'm super excited about that. Don't forget it's free to watch. Nate, who is part of the crew, aka DJ Crypto, in Discord earlier said that you can download the app and watch it for free as well if you're international. But it is free to view in the US and Canada. So it's formerly Spike TV, it's now Paramount. So that should be good. I don't want to forget, because we did a few big stories this week, and they're too big not to mention. So one of them was about ASU, Arizona State University, which we've had a partnership with for a long time. But basically that was renewed, and we actually had funding $350,000 in research and development. But this time it's kind of building up scholarship, I believe, and a kind of curriculum for blockchain. So whereas before it was researching the blockchain and looking at scaling solutions for the future, now it's actually helping to fund both graduates and undergraduate students to learn more about Dash and engineering and the process of blockchain technology. And this is why, once again, why we love Dash, because we're forward thinking and we're leading from the front, trying to look at those new solutions from the front line, breaking new ground. So yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that for me is absolutely huge.
Huge.
Yeah, there was a huge PR push. I did notice with Dash the last couple of days. There was a local TV station in Arizona. There was like the Sun newspaper. ASU put out a report. There was just multiple other articles all over, everywhere. It was like saturation.
Yeah, and that's a couple people have been like, wow. Most people have been like, wow. A couple people have been like, oh, is it like too much or something? Come on. Who has ever gone to a Bitcoin conference and thought the Bitcoin thumping was too much? Like, no, you kind of expect it. It's like the industry leader. You think but that's the thing that I think people kind of don't like about Dash, is that Dash is ambitious. A lot of these other projects want to be a complement to Bitcoin or do a different thing than Bitcoin or things like that. And Dash gives respect to Bitcoin's origins as the amazing technology that started all this. But Dash is just trying to take it to the next level and does not mind if it replaces older technology or inferior technology or just equal but not as market successful technology. Whatever it is, Dash doesn't mind being number one. And that's the thing that's, a lot of people view that as like arrogance before the Lord or something like that. That it's like, ye shall know thine place or thou shalt be smitten.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of, I've thought of a term, they're kind of like cuck coins. They
I like that. I'm using that.
Yeah, they're like cuck
I'm using that.
Yeah, because they Bitcoin, they worship Bitcoin and Bitcoin's their daddy and all that. And we love Bitcoin too, or what it used to be, but we're looking to do something better.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't even believe we haven't spoke about the price, because, a lot of the noobs were frantically panicking at the beginning of the week with the price, and like I guess we've kind of seen it all before, but I just saw it as a huge, big red sale sign for me. I was just like, you're never going to get this opportunity again, especially with the news of Neptune Dash, which we did an article on recently this week. But since then, they've even released a newer press release. So at the time when we did the original article, I think they only had like 8 masternodes at the time. But now they've got 15 Dash masternodes, and they're trying to acquire more. So they hope to get 18 masternodes by the end of the month. Wow. So they had the 20 million, right? But they're actually trying to buy the Dash to do it. So like, just think about that for a second. So when you're watching the Free Amigos podcast and Brian talks about the Nubian website, and we talk about the supply and the demand, and we see those charts where we can see the Bitcoin orders and the supply and demand have been so off. They're trying to buy the Dash to set up these masternodes. So you've got institutional money coming into Dash. And here's the thing. It goes live on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture Exchange. They're 2 separate exchanges on the 22nd of January.
This Monday.
So it's not even live yet to buy shares. So even people that aren't even into cryptocurrency will be looking at this, because they're going to be listed with other companies that are junior miners and things like this. So you're going to have all this kind of venture capital money and hedge funds looking at Dash in a completely new light. And I don't know what the repercussions of. I don't even think we've begun to really even think, really think about what's going to come from this, because I was happy in the interview, and one of the questions that Joel asked, because my concern was, if they're buying these masternodes, how does that impact the voting mechanism, right? Because that means, if they're getting all this money in and they're just recycling it and just getting more masternodes, then they can vote on things, and they could have quite a heavy hand in that, right? But they've said that they've taken the stance that they're not going to use that power to vote on proposals for the time being. So that's very interesting. Plus, they mentioned they might have some proposals further on down the line that they're writing. So exciting times. Really exciting.
And that's
100, or isn't that their goal? Is 100 by the end of the year? Is that right?
I was talking to them that by the end of the year they would like to have 100. I don't think that's a goal of theirs because it's a little bit of an unrealistic goal, right? They have 8 masternodes presently. They raised 20.7 million, which at present prices, considering a little bit of price increase, would be at least 20 extra nodes, right? They say that they got two.
There's not the coin.
They got 2 extra.
Coins aren't there to buy them. It's too limited.
Well, that's the thing is they have 2 extra rounds of funding that they're anticipating, which would bring them up to a total of 60 million. So what can 60 million add to their 8 masternodes currently? I mean, at present prices, if they could just buy it all at market value today, that would be like 65 or more. And then they add the 8, that'd be like almost 75 masternodes just right there. Now, obviously, that's going to be very difficult and it'll drive prices up. But if you look at the end of the year, right, how long do they have to do it? How many more investors are they going to get buying shares and then bidding up shares? Like, how much more money are they going to get from that? And they admitted that all their masternode returns they get, that as soon as they pay off expenses, they're putting into more nodes. They just more nodes. They just want to just keep building up more nodes. Exactly. And as far as their unwillingness to vote, I forget what their exact reasons were, but basically the gist of it was they thoroughly investigated Dash. They thought it seemed to be the one thing that had like the best chance of being used as a global payment system in the future. And they totally buy into Evan's original vision and Ryan's direction, and they just want to support the infrastructure behind that vision. They don't want to change things. They don't want to do a corporate takeover of Dash. They just think this is really cool. They can't anyway. There's not enough Dash out there. But they just want to participate in this glorious vision that we're all kind of part of. And I think that's really cool.
Well, Brian, what have you got there? Say something.
I don't know. I think it's one of our new fans from the North American Dash Conference.
I know this guy. I believe he's from I believe he lives in South Africa. His name is Ricardo.
He's a big Dash. He's got some masternodes.
He better have some masternodes because he has that Dash lanyard going on right there. Here, talk some more to Brian so the screen shifts over there.
Yeah, no, I believe he does have some I believe Macrochip said he had a couple of masternodes, at least 2 masternodes.
I thought his presentation was very telling, actually. From last year, taking a very strong stance, attacking Dash because of our masternode.
For the viewers at home, this is Ricardo Spagni, IK Fluffy Pony, Monero's sort of lead developer, lead spokesperson, who has had a lot of bad things to say about Dash in the past. So continue, Mark.
Yeah, so last year he was actually attacking. I actually believe he was on. He did a video with the Decred boys on YouTube, and they were complaining about Dash having a layer 2 network because, as Joel said earlier, one of the great things about Dash in terms of innovation and pioneering was our masternode network. And now it seems like that's the new buzzword. Everyone wants to do layer 2. And what did he say in his presentation? Now they want to start doing layer 2. In fact, everyone wants to do that now. But I think that what I learned from his presentation is that where everyone else doing their presentation was talking about innovations or projects or developments to come, his presentation was one labeled about trolling, but he was talking about just stating the obvious. And it was kind of like, if you want to help Monero, email us, help us. We're open source, but we don't have the funding to pay you, but we can do bounties. I was just like,
it was sort of organizational structure, best practices 101. Labeled under a how to decentralize your project and why trolling. I didn't really get the trolling angle, but it seemed fine. It just, I don't know. It's funny because this space is so interesting because it's half like cypherpunk weirdos and like half new like Silicon Valley tech people, like the TED Talk type people. All these conferences usually have a little bit of a veneer of both. You got these bizarre looking people who are all into like hardcore cryptography and cypherpunk this and all this kind of stuff that, and they don't mind wearing weird hats and shit like that. And then they're all doing that. And then there's like the TED Talk type people that are like, imagine blockchain liberating this about that, oh blah blah blah, and the little earpiece and the talk around and walk over, and then the springy slides in the background. It's a very interesting sort of space. And then you got Dash, which public facing, has like a half veneer of the TED Talk thing and half traditional finance kind of stuff, like most viable network for payments, and like just very stable, talking ROI, projections, growth, and just like all the old financial world kind of thing. Dash sort of sticks out like a sore thumb a little bit in that it's not all about the who's more of a righteous nonconformist technophile, or who's the more inspiring Steve Jobs knockoff type thing. It's like Dash doesn't seem to care about that kind of stuff. Doesn't care about the hype, the techno hype. Doesn't care about the quasi-religious ideological purity and kind of projections thereof. Just seem to be like, all right, well, this is amazing technology, can free the world, and here's our plan on making something happen. And it's like that very just almost blasé, just results-based approach.
Yeah,
it's what the world needs.
It's the start of 2018. I thought Ryan's presentation was perfect. He only had 15 minutes. So in that, he showed the previous, what we've achieved in the last year, which was great, backed it up with statistics and analytics, right? With financial reports to prove that, and then spoke about where we're going in the future, a little bit about Dash evolution, and then announced the big free announcements that we were talking about earlier. So I think it was absolutely perfect because it gave everyone what they wanted to hear. So even people that didn't know about Dash, although you would have to be blind being at the conference because Dash is just everywhere, being the platinum sponsor at the Bitcoin conference where you can't even pay with Bitcoin. I mean, I got a message from Stacey Herbert because I messaged her saying sorry I wasn't there and stuff. I hope the Dash people are treating you well. And it's Dash had that, the Dash invasion was in Miami and it is still there. So there's a movement coming, and whether these people like it or not, it's gonna happen. The dashing in is a happening. That's what I'm gonna say. You either get on board or you don't. It's as simple as that. You can't stop it because we're actually providing utility and a payment system. You need to. Some of these people need to wake up. You can't just be there fanboying, circle jerking half these coins and these ICO presentations that were there that are never going to go anywhere. Think about it. If you're seriously going to compete with Visa, MasterCard, you need to be organized. You need to have the right setup. You need to have the right team. You need to get strategic partnerships. You need to go about it the right way. How many of those other people are doing it? I tell you, zero. It's like a frisbee. They're just zero. Boom. They're no good. They're MBG, no bloody good.
Yes. Now, obviously has a good touch of personal perspective that I don't disagree with, of course. There's a lot of innovation going on in this space in general, but there's a lot of just, I don't know, it's a very insular sort of space, and Dash's approach is different in that it's not aggressive, and it's not like every 2 seconds you have a fanboy shaking in your face saying this is better than everyone else, ooh, you morons and stuff, or not. There's not this hardcore in your face kind of thing, and then there isn't this hype based kind of, oh, this is gonna be world changing, the technology, this, oh my god. It's very sort of let's grow as much as we can that won't recede. Let's achieve as much that's permanent. Let's keep doing that. And eventually it's people aren't going to all start using Dash because they got intimidated or shouted out or whatever like that. They're not going to buy into this hype swarm of Dash. It's just going to it's going to grow around them. There's going to be more people in button downs and polo shirts and stuff just showing up at conference. Oh, this conference, wow, there's a Dash, there's more conferences are going to be sponsored by Dash. More higher level at each of them, more Dash people, more stuff they're talking about. No more energy, maybe not whoa, yeah, like the Windows 95 launch, not quite that good, but you start getting just more people. They start, so we have partnered with all the major tech corporations. You can now pay just about all your bills. McDonald's takes Dash directly at the point of sale. We're excited for this, and like it's just gonna be like that. And it's sort of like it's going to be the ground up. It's just
none of them
you
have
just wake up
utility.
and all of a sudden you're in a sea of blue.
It's like Brian. Brian's triggered me with that bloody fluffy pony brony idiot cretin.
Yeah,
Anyway, here's the thing, right? Just look at it. Even if you look at the other coins there, like we've covered Dash so much, but when it actually comes to actually changing people's lives, impacting them, actually providing a service, we spoke about Brazil, 13,000 bank locations. You can go in, you can buy Dash, you can pay your bills with Dash. In Spain, we thought it was 10,000 shops with gift cards. Now it turns out that BitNovo want to scale to 300,000 shops with Dash gift cards to buy. They're an exchange as well. These are just shops that actually just go in and buy it, open up the marketplace. We got Ukraine as well, with over 9,000 kiosks where you can buy Dash. We've got General Bytes now that are putting in Dash by default. I think there's 169 ATMs listed on Coin ATM Radar, and I don't think the other General Bytes ATM listings have been updated yet. So they've got 559 something around that number General Bytes ATMs accepting Dash. We're on the move. You can get paid your salary in Dash, right? Look at Uphold. Like, don't
what are you talking about? I don't know what that's about. I would never be able to live like that.
Who are these ICOs? Who are these other like pretenders at this conference? There's nothing there. And I see people hating on Dash. I'm just like, are you kidding? Look, we are giving people financial freedom. You say you love Satoshi and the white paper and you buy into it because you want this to be the money revolution. This is the money revolution. Like if you want to be a part of it, jump on board. If not, you're a charlatan. You're just pretending. Don't be an imitator. Stick with the innovator.
Yeah, I think we also give more to charity than probably.
Can I not see that face anymore? I'm starting to get.
I got to keep it up here for a minute. Yeah, we do give more charity, I believe, than probably all the other coins combined. So yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, here's my big sort of closing thought on the whole thing. Dash absolutely is very exciting to me, but I understand why they see Dash as boring, because everything that you're trying to use or buy into, anything that anyone's trying to push on you, you're buying something. What are you selling, right? What is Bitcoin selling? Bitcoin selling goes up in value. That's the thing it's selling currently. You buy it, you're going to get a Lambo later, right? That's what you're selling. All these other coins, a lot of them are buying that chance of hashtag moon, hashtag Lambo, hashtag whatever. It's like people are buying in for that chance at that. But a lot of them are throwing money at hype. And I don't mean hype like, oh, it's not real, it's whatever. It is very real. They're buying adrenaline rushes. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to feel like, man, Ryblocks is going to be the payment processor of the future. You can just instant confirmation, this and that. And man, the Tangle is going to change everything. It'll be zero fees. It's like if
the Wraith network.
Yeah, Wraith Protocol and Dogecoin Dark. I mean, sorry, they're called Verge now. Sorry, they erased the Dogecoin from their name. Anyway, you're the Wraith Protocol. It's going to be just so like Wraith-like and private, and somehow more anonymous than 100% anonymous, like 120% anonymous, bitch. Like they're just. That's an adrenaline rush. It's a thing that exists, and that's what a lot of these projects are selling. They're selling the excitement over, whoa, what about this new thing? It's going to be this. People find value. They're willing to put money into something so they can feel that. That's what they're selling. Dash is boring because Dash is not selling that. Dash doesn't care about your adrenaline rush. Dash doesn't care what cool names, fancy names, even though, Dark Gravity Wave and stuff like that sounds pretty cool. Evolution sounds pretty cool. But Dash isn't selling that. Dash is not selling the hype. Dash is selling, this is a tool that you can use for financial freedom. Do you want it or not? That, for me, makes me lose my flipping mind. I'm so excited about that. So much hype that, like, I don't have to use the banking or fiat currency system ever again in my life. Holy crap. How many generations of people wanted to escape that? And now we can do it. How is that not exciting? But yeah, Dash is not an adrenaline rush. It's the real deal.
It's slow, steady progress. slow and steady wins the race, right? But we will. And this is why I think people are going to be so upset in 6 months, 12 months time. Like there's so much. We were just talking, even if you just look at Neptune Dash, like they're going to bring a whole new set of eyes, investors. You've got to have all these paid subscription services that probably look into gold and silver and all this kind of thing. Look at Neptune Dash. They're going to be bringing so much money into it. And we've just said the coin supply, what's it, like 7.8 million right now? There isn't the Dash available. Even 10 masternodes, that's 10,000 Dash. There isn't enough Dash for them to buy everything up. And what happens if there's Dash? The price goes up. Like, people haven't figured this out yet. Like, this is why it was so funny at the beginning of the week where people were freaking out about the price. I'm just like, I was trying to get as much dinosaur paper fiat money together as possible to buy as much Dash as possible, because we're only going one way and that's up. And like
Mark was trying to get me to sell him some Dash. I wasn't selling Dash at that price. No way.
Yeah, like honestly, these opportunities don't always. This was the biggest gift. That was like a late Christmas present, and really, guys, even right now, I just feel like it's a deal. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, but like I believe in the project long term, and I see the project. We're still in January, and there's still great things to come.
What do you think, Mark? I haven't counted this.
Come out, right?
Is this enough for a masternode? I found some extra coins in here. See if some, and I don't know. Can I buy some nodes at this? At this price, who wouldn't want a node?
Internet Ape could have done in 2014, but he sold all his Dash apparently. So
yes, so that's the funny thing. Not all people remember or know about is Internet Ape was a co-founder of Dash. Was there for like a little bit. He sold a bunch of his tokens and exited the project pretty quickly. And now he is doing something other than being a bajillionaire in the forefront of the financial revolution. Different strokes for different folks. What can I say?
Yeah, actually, that's we should probably just mention that as well. So, yes, Internet Ape. At the beginning of Dash, there's always people seem to mistake where we get lots of fudsters that try to take advantage of the situation and label Dash as a pre-mine. No Dash was mined before Dash was launched. Dash wasn't a pre-mine. There was a Litecoin bug in the code base which changed the difficulty, which was once it was identified what the issue was, it was fixed and resolved within a few hours. And why I just thought that was because Internet Ape, who was one of the first people mining it, I think he got something like 160,000 coins, but he sold them all because for about a year, Dash was only worth like $1. So all those coins that were mined, which was about 2 million in that space of time, mostly got flooded back out. And we've got evidence to prove that. There's a clarification note for that. Yet all these fudsters, trollers are still talking about something from 2014. It's like, it's 2018. It's like 4 years now. And you still got these people screaming scam. Like, how many people here have lost money with Dash? Like, I've only
You know what's funny about that whole thing? The entire reason anyone would care about how fast do the coins come out, where do they go, all that kind of stuff is just like who owns them all, how well is the distribution. Well, if you compare Dash's actual coin distribution, as in the end result of the worry of a weird beginning or whatever, it's very well distributed, right? Very well distributed, especially compared to Litecoin, which is 3 years older. It's just infinitely better, and it's pretty much on par with Bitcoin, which was, the one for the ages. And there are some unsung heroes in that battle. Of course, Internet Ape selling all his stuff, that's one of them, which I don't think he meant to be a hero. But same thing as the people who hacked the exchanges that a lot of early Darkcoin was on, and then just all that got lost and disseminated. That's another unsung hero. But the big one would be Richard Otto, who at one point had 440 or more masternodes. He had a ton of them, and he just traveled around the world, going from beach to beach. And then he sold almost all of that in P2P sales, right? He just found people who wanted to buy. So I'm going to sell $100,000 worth here. I'm going to send a couple million this month. He single-handedly distributed Dash's coin supply so well. And right now Dash is doing well. And people who say, oh, sketchy beginnings, whatever like that. Let's see. Let me start counting. Of non-mineable coins, i.e. ones that have entirely centralized distribution things, In the top 10, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10 of the top 10 ranked cryptocurrencies, according to CoinMarketCap, although I dispute calling them cryptocurrencies, have entirely centralized distribution models where it's not just, oh, a chunk of them got printed in the beginning. It's like, no, all of them got printed in the beginning, and not just to the people who were mining at the time, to just the people that made the coin, all of them. And then they just distributed over the years. No one cares. Some people give Ripple trash. No one gives Cardano trash.
Yeah,
no one gives NEM trash. No one gives Neo trash. No one gives Stellar. No one gives IOTA. I'm done.
They all have 10%, at least 10%, 10 to 15%, some of them 20% pre-mines, and they're centralized to just usually a handful of people, sometimes just one person who has distributed all of them. And coins like Monero, they've also had their issues with their Cripple Mine and their Fast Mine algorithm, which also accounted for 10 to 15% of their coin supply. Yeah, all these like Bitcoin and Satoshi, he has, 1 million coins. Nobody in Dash has 1 million coins. So all coins have issues into the general, the larger world population, all coins were pre-mined because 90% of the people in the world do not own any of these. So the distribution is always, it's always going to be an issue. That's just all there is to it.
One thing that I will have to do in the future is I will have to write some sort of an article, do some sort of fact finding, compare the size of Satoshi's hoard, right? The guy who started Bitcoin, who's just mining at the beginning, which why didn't he distribute those coins? That centralized asshole, right? Is compare that to the size of Dash's initial mining, and especially then compare that to like how much one individual, let's say Evan, was able to get. And then people were like, oh, initial mining. It's like, yeah, well, Satoshi has a much, much greater percentage of Bitcoin around. So what can you do?
Yeah, the Monero folks, they were the biggest pushers of the Instamine thing. And then I started actually looking into their origins and how their coin started and found out that way they have very similar type issues as we do. And they even right now they have twice as many coins mined as Dash does. We have like 7 million something. They have like 15 million or something. So, and that's with the Instamine that they complain about. So they had a very fast mine algorithm where there are lots and lots of coins. They started after us, yet they have twice as many coins as us, and that's because of their algorithm. And there was issues with when it was first launched. They didn't say. They were told it was similar to Bitcoin, their emission curve, and then they, that's what they originally put out. Then it turns out, no, it's actually way, way faster than Bitcoin, way faster than Litecoin, way faster than Dash, way faster than normal coin distribution. So they have their own fast mine, Instamine, whatever issues. All these coins do. All these coins that talk trash, they all have their own distribution issues. The only difference is that Dash is upfront about it. You go to our wiki, it's in our wiki page. There's lots of articles written about it. These other coins, it's hidden. All their issues are hidden. Dash is very upfront about what happened, and that's the difference.
Yeah. And don't forget, guys, important. Wirex is adding Dash in February, right? And they've got close to 1 million users, and at the moment they've only got Bitcoin. So Dash will be the second one on there, and they're looking to scale their user base as well. So just think about the repercussions of what that will be. So we've got so much stuff to look forward to. And as I said earlier, Alt36 are meant to come out with their big announcement and some of the business partners that they've been working with. Like, there's so much good stuff coming, and it's not a long way away. This is like going to be happening in the next few weeks. So all I'm going to say is buy now or cry later. It's just simple. Like, if you do the same thing as everyone else, how do you expect to be any different? Sometimes you've got to be a contrarian, right? Don't move with the group, right? If you've got to move different from the crowd. If you follow everyone as a sheep, then be a sheeple. But if you can think for yourself and you can use critical thought and be an independent thinker, then just look at what's coming. Don't think in the short term. Don't be a price momentum monkey looking at CoinMarketCap every day. Look at the project. Look what's coming. It's the money revolution.
Yes, and as far as what to expect for 2018, well, let me just paraphrase famous actor Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park. Hold on to your butts.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up.
As Halawi said up here, can we stop looking at Fluffy Pony?
I actually I can't. Somehow I lost the feature to get back, and we'll just have to deal with it. Let's wrap up.
Fluffy's been giving some great speeches tonight. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. So, right, episode 35 done of the Free Amigos podcast. Don't forget, Rory McDonald fighting tomorrow, Bellator 192. Should be a really big event. Biggest sporting athlete crypto sponsorship to date. Even if you're not an MMA fan, tweet, Facebook, get the message out. You're our foot soldiers. We shouldn't miss this opportunity. And I'm kind of curious. I haven't seen his shorts, I haven't seen his outfit, I haven't seen his hat. I'm more of a boxing fan, if I'm honest, but I'm gonna watch it. And you should as well, because if you're Team Dash, you gotta look after your own, right? We're a community. So make sure you get involved and you check that out, and you let everyone know. And as always, you can come chat with us in Discord. We'll have an after party, dashchat.org. If you're not in the Discord Dash community yet, just go into the main chat, which you'll go to by default, and just say, hey, where's the chat? And we'll just say, yo, we'll add you. First come, first served. Only 10 people can be in the room. So you get to talk with us, ask questions. It's a fun time. Don't want to miss out. Okay, I just saw Joel do something. Did you want to say something? I wasn't sure if he was pointing a finger. Oh, I thought okay. I thought you was like, I want to say something. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget, stay dashy, and remember, less fiat dinosaur money, more Dash digital cash.
Yep.